It was a cold, quiet morning. The sky was a blanket of uninterrupted gray. The road was still wet from the rain that had fallen during the night. A young woman named Emma, in her early 20s, walked with care along the roadside. She was holding a small paper bag containing her breakfast. In her other hand, she carried a pair of old, worn cleaning gloves. Her uniform was clean but had seen better days. Her shoes were almost giving way at the soles. Still, she walked with a sense of purpose. She did not want to be tardy for her cleaning occupation at the Grand Crownville Towers. As she came closer to the main road, she heard the loud sound of a car's engine. A shiny white sport utility vehicle was moving at a high speed in her direction. Before she had a moment to step away, the vehicle's tires hit a deep puddle of murky water. In one terrible moment, the muddy liquid splashed all over her. It covered her face, her clothes, and the small bag she was holding. Everything she had was now soaked and dirty. The large vehicle did not stop its forward motion. Instead, the tinted window rolled down just enough to reveal a well-dressed woman. The woman was laughing with amusement. Her lipstick was a bright, vivid red. She wore very large sunglasses that hid her eyes. "Watch where you stand next time," she called out with a dismissive tone. She then sped away, leaving Emma in her wake. Emma stood there in a state of shock. Her lips trembled slightly. A burning sensation filled her eyes. But she did not allow any tears to fall. She simply picked up her soiled bag from the wet ground. She continued walking, her dignity intact despite the humiliation. From across the street, a black car sat quietly unnoticed. Inside was a man named Ethan. He was a silent observer of the entire event. He had watched the splash of muddy water. He had seen the woman's casual amusement. He had witnessed the look of embarrassment that flashed across Emma's face. Ethan's eyes narrowed with disapproval. He knew the affluent lady. Her name was Vanessa. She was well known for her fashion line and her immense pride. What she did not know was that today, her thoughtless actions had been seen by someone who did not believe in letting people experience hardship without consequence. Silently, Ethan picked up his phone. "Find out who that girl is," he said in a calm, steady voice. "I want to know everything about her." Emma finally arrived at the entrance of Crownville Towers. She looked as though a storm had passed directly over her. Her once clean uniform was now covered in brown stains. Her hair was stuck to her face in damp strands. Her shoes made a squishing sound with every step she took. As she stepped into the side entrance designated for employees, her supervisor, Mr. Clark, met her with a deep frown. "Emma, you are late," he stated, his voice sharp. "And what is this mess?" he added, gesturing to her stained uniform. She lowered her eyes, feeling a fresh wave of embarrassment. "I was splashed by a car, sir," she began to explain. "I tried to clean up, but—" "No excuses," he snapped, cutting her off. "Get to work. This place needs to be spotless before our important guests arrive." Emma nodded meekly and walked toward the cleaning closet. Her co-workers glanced at her as she passed. Some shook their heads in pity, their expressions sympathetic. Others seemed to judge her for her disheveled appearance. But no one spoke a word to her. No one offered to help. She changed into an old backup uniform she kept in her locker. She tied her damp hair up into a neat bun. Then she got to work, cleaning the floors with a diligence that belied the morning's unfortunate events. As she scrubbed, she thought of her little sister, Olivia, who was likely still asleep in their small, one-room apartment. The thought of providing a better life for Olivia was the fuel that kept her going. She pushed through the feelings of hurt and focused on her tasks, making sure every surface she touched gleamed. She could not afford to lose this occupation. It was all that stood between her and complete destitution. Meanwhile, Ethan sat in his expansive office in a tall glass building in the heart of downtown. He was not just any man. He was one of the city's youngest and most successful chief executive officers. He was a quiet billionaire who preferred to observe the world rather than talk about his place in it. His assistant entered and brought him the file he had requested earlier that morning. "Her name is Emma Davis," the assistant began, reading from the papers. "She is 23 years old. She works 2 cleaning jobs to make ends meet. She lives in a small apartment in West Pine. She takes care of her younger sister, Olivia. Their mother passed on 2 years ago." Ethan stared at the photograph attached to the file. It showed Emma, smiling gently, with a small child, her sister, beside her. He tapped the photo lightly with his finger. She did not deserve that, he muttered to himself, his voice low. His assistant raised an eyebrow in question. Sir, do you want me to do something about the situation? Ethan looked up from the file, his expression thoughtful. Yes, he said. But not yet. Let's watch for a little while longer. In another part of the city, Vanessa Johnson stood in front of a large, ornate mirror inside her luxury penthouse apartment. She was carefully adjusting a heavy gold necklace around her neck. Her phone buzzed nonstop on the vanity beside her. Messages were pouring in from fans, stylists, and brand partners. She was one of the city's most followed fashion influencers, and the daughter of a prominent real estate mogul. She smiled at her own reflection, seeing an image of pride and perfection. Her assistant, Casey, was reviewing her schedule on a tablet. That girl this morning was standing too close to the road, Vanessa said with a careless shrug, sipping her green smoothie. She should be grateful I did not drive over her toes. Casey gave a nervous chuckle, unsure how to respond. Yes, of course, Vanessa. She never looked back at the incidents of her life. She believed the world was made of winners and people who lost. She was born to be a winner. Across town, Emma's day continued to be a long and arduous one. Every time she bent down to mop the floors or dust a piece of furniture, her back ached with a dull pain. Still, she kept her chin up, a silent determination in her eyes. She whispered small prayers to herself to get through the day. Just one more day, she would tell herself. Just get through today. Around noon, she went behind the building to eat her small lunch. It consisted of a simple piece of bread and a bottle of water. She sat alone on a wooden crate, her fingers trembling slightly as she unwrapped the modest meal. As she ate, a man walked past the hotel entrance and stopped. It was Ethan, dressed casually in a jacket, a cap, and sunglasses to obscure his famous face. He pretended to check his phone, but his eyes were fixed on her. He saw how gently she ate her meager meal. He noticed her check her phone, probably for any missed calls from her sister. There was no makeup on her face, no glamour about her. She was just a young woman whom life kept pushing down, but who stubbornly kept standing back up. Ethan's chest tightened with a feeling he could not quite name. He did not know her personally, but something about her reminded him of his own late mother. Strong, quiet, and never asking for help. He walked away slowly, but a plan was already forming in his mind. She does not know it yet, he thought to himself. But her story is about to change. The next morning, Emma woke up early as she always did. She carefully tied her sister Olivia's shoelaces before school. She packed her a small lunch. She kissed her forehead gently. Be good at school, okay, she said softly. Olivia nodded, a bright smile on her face. You too, Emmy, she replied. Emma took the long bus ride to Crownville Towers. She was still wearing her backup uniform. The stains from the previous day's splash were on her only good one, which was soaking in a bucket at home. When she arrived at work, something strange happened. Inside her locker, she found a small paper bag. It was not the one she had left there. Inside the new bag was a pair of brand new, bright yellow cleaning gloves. There was also a warm sandwich wrapped in foil. Tucked inside was a folded note. For the girl who works with grace, even when the world is unkind. Emma blinked in surprise. She looked around the locker room, but no one seemed to notice her discovery. She slowly opened the sandwich. It was fresh and still warm. She had not had a hot breakfast in weeks. She did not know who had left it for her. But for the first time in a very long while, a genuine smile touched her lips. Far away in his office, Ethan looked through the hotel's internal camera feed. It was a feed he had legal access to, thanks to a security partnership his company had with the hotel. He watched Emma's reaction to the small gift. He nodded to himself in satisfaction. Small steps, he whispered to the empty room. Meanwhile, Vanessa was a guest on a popular talk show. She was talking about her latest designer handbag. The host praised her elegance and style. Vanessa smiled for the cameras, projecting an image of a woman who had everything and was untouched by the world. The moment the show ended and the cameras were off, her pleasant demeanor vanished. She snapped at her team. My coffee was too cold, she complained. Let the new person go. No one on her team dared to speak back to her. That was Vanessa's world. It was cold, sharp, and filled with masks. But things were changing, and she was about to find out. That evening, Ethan made another call. "I want her promoted," he said to the hotel's regional manager. "Find a way to do it quietly." The manager hesitated for a moment. "But sir, she's just a cleaner." Ethan's voice turned firm, though it remained low. "She's not just anything." The following day, Emma was sweeping the hotel's grand lobby. The head supervisor called her over. "Emma Davis," he said, looking at a clipboard. Emma nodded, feeling a knot of nervousness in her stomach. "You have been moved to VIP floor maintenance," the supervisor announced. "It starts tomorrow. It comes with better pay and less mess." Emma's eyes widened in disbelief. "Sir, are you sure?" she asked. "I did not apply for that position." "It has been approved," he cut in. "Congratulations." She bowed slightly, still trying to process the news. "Thank you, sir." The moment she walked away, the whispers from her co-workers began. VIP floor for her. Did she charm someone important? She must know someone high up. Emma heard it all, but she said nothing. She had no idea why her life was suddenly shifting in this new direction. Deep down, however, she felt a quiet joy. She shared the good news with Olivia later that evening. Her little sister hugged her tightly. "See, good things can happen," Olivia said with childish wisdom. Meanwhile, Ethan continued his observations from the shadows. He visited the hotel more often now, always in disguise. He watched her kindness. He saw her quiet strength. He noticed the way she treated every guest like royalty, even though no one ever treated her that way. He admired her deeply. He still had not spoken to her properly since their brief encounter. That same evening, Vanessa received a strange envelope at her office. Inside was a photograph. It was grainy but clear. It showed her car splashing mud on Emma. A small sticky note was attached to it. It read, "Not everyone forgets." Vanessa's eyes narrowed. "What kind of strange joke is this?" she muttered. She tore the note and the photograph into tiny pieces and threw them away. But a seed of unease had been planted. For the first time, she did not feel completely untouchable. Back at the hotel, Emma found another gift in her locker. This time, it was a small bouquet of simple flowers. There was another note. "Keep shining. The world sees you, even if people pretend not to." She stared at it, puzzled but deeply moved. She did not know who was behind the gifts. But something was happening. Deep inside, she hoped it was something good. Emma stepped carefully onto the VIP floor for the first time. The air here smelled different. It was a mix of fresh flowers and expensive polish. The carpets were softer under her feet. The walls were quieter. She walked with her head held low at first, trying not to draw attention to herself. But her work was flawless. Every corner of the luxurious floor sparkled under her care. One of an important guest watched her quietly from a nearby lounge chair. It was Ethan again in casual clothes, hidden behind sunglasses and a newspaper. He observed how she worked. He saw how she smiled politely, even to those who ignored her. He finally stood up and approached her. "Excuse me," he said. "Do you know where the Sky Lounge is?" Emma turned and smiled gently. "Yes, sir. I will walk you there." As they moved down the hallway, he asked, "How long have you worked here?" "Almost 2 years," she replied. "It has been a difficult time, but it pays the bills." He nodded. "Do you enjoy it?" She hesitated for a moment. "I do not know if anyone dreams of mopping floors," she said honestly, "but I am thankful for the work. I try to do my best." He stopped walking. "You do more than that," he said softly. "You shine." Emma gave a small, surprised laugh. "Thanks, I think." Ethan did not reveal who he really was. He just watched her walk away, still smiling. Later that day, Vanessa sat across from her father in a high-end restaurant. Her frustration was barely hidden behind her flawless makeup. "Someone is targeting me," she said, swirling the red wine in her glass without drinking. "First that photo, and now people are whispering about me online. It is like there is a campaign against me." Her father looked calm as he sipped his drink. "Or maybe," he said, "someone is just holding up a mirror to your actions." Vanessa's jaw tightened. "Please, I have not done anything wrong." But deep down, A part of her knew that was not true. Somewhere in her past, she had stepped on people without looking back. At the hotel, Emma found a small bouquet of daisies in her locker. There was no note this time, just the flowers. She stared at them, confused yet deeply moved. Someone was watching her, but not to cause her any upset. They were trying to help her. The more Emma rose in her position, the more attention she drew. Some staff members whispered in admiration, but others grew cold with envy. Tina, a senior cleaner who had worked at the hotel for 6 years, was not happy. She just got here and is already on the VIP floor. She muttered to the other cleaners. She must be doing something behind the scenes. Emma noticed the stares and the silence whenever she entered a room. She tried to ignore it and kept doing her job with excellence. That day, Ethan returned to the hotel again. This time, he specifically asked for Emma's section. He claimed he trusted her touch. She was called to clean a private lounge. When she walked in, Ethan was sitting there. "No cleaning needed," he said kindly. "I just wanted to say thank you for your kindness the other day." Emma smiled politely. "I was just doing my job, sir." He looked at her for a moment, then asked, "If you could do anything, what would it be?" Emma paused, surprised by the question. "I would study hospitality management," she confessed. "Maybe I could manage a place like this someday. But school costs a lot of money, and right now life is about keeping things going." Ethan nodded, storing every word she said in his memory. Later that night, Tina snuck into the supply room. She switched Emma's regular cleaning solution with a slippery substance. The next morning, a guest slipped and fell in the lobby. "Who cleaned here last?" the manager shouted in frustration. Emma was blamed for the incident. She was called into the office and given a stern warning. "I swear I did not do anything wrong," she said, her voice shaking. But no one listened. Except for one person. Ethan. He requested that the hotel's security footage be reviewed. What it showed surprised everyone. Tina had clearly swapped the chemicals. The manager apologized profusely to Emma. "I am so sorry. You are cleared of any wrongdoing." She left the office in tears, relieved but shaken by the experience. From a distance, Ethan watched. "She does not even know I saved her," he thought. "But I will tell her one day." One day, Vanessa scrolled through her social media feed and frowned. There it was. A blurry photo of her SUV, with the caption, "Some people think money erases manners." It had been reposted hundreds of times. Though her face was not visible, people were connecting the dots. The article spread like wildfire. Emma saw it during her lunch break and felt her heart sink. Staff members began whispering again. A few even gave her cold looks. She packed her things and left work early. But Ethan was not silent this time. He called a press meeting the next day. Standing in front of a wall of flashing cameras, he said clearly, "Emma Davis is not a gold digger. She is the most hardworking, honest woman I have ever met. Anyone who believes otherwise should question what they value more, money or heart." The crowd of reporters clapped. Emma, watching from her tiny apartment, covered her mouth, completely stunned. Later that evening, a delivery arrived at her door. It was a single red rose and a note. "Let the world whisper. I will always speak your truth. Ethan." Tears welled up in her eyes. She was not just being seen anymore. She was being chosen. The scholarship, the promotion, the public support. It all felt like a dream Emma had never dared to dream. But with every passing day, it became her new reality. At school, she was thriving. Her teachers praised her discipline and drive. At work, the hotel manager began asking for her ideas. She was no longer just the cleaner. She was someone whose voice mattered. Meanwhile, Vanessa's world had crumbled. The fake blog post was traced back to her. Her father was furious. "You did not just hurt her. You embarrassed us all," he had said. He froze her accounts and suspended her from the company's board. "Maybe when you learn respect, we will talk," he said coldly. Vanessa stood there, speechless. No credit cards. No personal assistant. No designer gifts. There was just silence. Back at the hotel, Ethan invited Emma for dinner. Not as a boss. Not as a sponsor. But as a man who admired her heart. He picked her up himself in a modest car this time. There were no guards or drivers. They ate on the rooftop of a quiet bistro, overlooking the city. You changed me, Emma, he said. You reminded me of what matters. Emma looked down, a blush coloring her cheeks. I still do not know why you picked me. Ethan reached across the table. Because in a world full of noise, your silence spoke the loudest. And I heard you. They sat in peace, the kind that does not need music to feel magical. As they walked home hand in hand, Ethan stopped at the spot where it all began. This was where she splashed you, he said. But look at you now. Emma smiled. She splashed mud on me, but you planted a seed. He nodded. And now you are blooming. Neither of them said more. The night did not need more words. Because love, when it is real, speaks best in quiet moments. 1 year later, Crownville Towers held a special gala to celebrate its 20th anniversary. The ballroom glowed with the light of chandeliers. Live music played softly. The entire city's elite attended the event. Emma walked in wearing a simple sky blue gown. She did not have diamonds or a designer label, but she did not need them. Her posture, her grace, and her smile were more than enough. Guests turned to look. Some whispered. Some clapped softly. She was not a cleaner tonight. She was the guest of honor. Ethan stood beside her, beaming with pride. He had not proposed yet, but everyone in the room could see the future in his eyes. He was hers completely. Emma was called on stage. The hotel director handed her a plaque. For strength, humility, and the spirit that lifted us all. She took a deep breath and stepped up to the microphone. A year ago, I was just a girl walking to work in worn-out shoes, with mud on my clothes, she began. I was invisible. Until one act of unkindness and one act of kindness changed my life. The room fell silent. I do not stand here because I am lucky. I stand here because I kept going. And because someone believed in me before I could believe in myself. She looked over at Ethan. And because kindness is louder than status. Tears sparkled in a few eyes. Even the hotel staff at the back stood a little straighter. Later that night, as the gala ended, Emma returned to the spot where her journey began. The road had been repaved. It was smooth, clean, and new. She took off her heels and walked barefoot across it. Ethan watched her, smiling. What are you doing? He asked. Emma paused, looking down at the place that had once humiliated her. Leaving the last trace of who I used to be, she said, and stepping fully into who I am now. Without a word, Ethan took off his own shoes and joined her. He stood barefoot beside her, an equal, proud. Together, they walked forward slowly, silently. They were not just two people in a relationship. They were something more. They were proof that even when life throws mud, a flower can still bloom. And sometimes, it blooms so brightly that the whole world stops to notice.